Yeah, hi. So my name is Juhana Vauri. Welcome to see what's coming up in the time tracking area. I'm a lead HCM consultant, so meaning I solely work with Workday projects and I have a couple of certifications, of course, the HCM core, but then also time tracking, absence management, Workday projects. So the project module in Workday and then the project management, which is the certification to manage the actual projects. Also, I'm done quite a bit of data conversion projects, so quite a lot of experience in that also. So let's move ahead. We can take some questions from the chat, and recordings will be available, and you should have received the handouts. Also, welcome to be a digital HR insider. So by this link, you can receive some important communications. Safe harbor statement. So what is here is not sure that it will be coming in the virtual release, and when we go to check what's on the roadmap, then they will be even more uncertain. So I've thought there might be 3 key new features and a couple other ones, but let's first check what would be the key ones. So for time tracking specifically, there is the weekly time entry methods that are now available also from the monthly view. Is if that is something you like to use, and so providing a bit nicer experience for the employees. Then auto completion of the assign business process definition and the manage work schedule assignment. So these 2 latter ones were, I believe, also covered on the absence absence presentation. So I will show them, but also kind of talk from my own perspective about those. So yeah, first up is the weekly time entry methods from monthly view. This is not that in practice, maybe not a wow element, but kind of a small improvement. So what it means that additional time entry methods can be now accessed directly from the monthly time entry calendar, and it's more consistent now with the weekly calendar experience. So Workday is kind of putting these 2 views at par. So, well, first of all, if you don't already have the monthly view as an option or the primary choice, then you can edit the necessary time entry templates. So depending on which groups you want to enable this for, then you would select the monthly option in either the default or the additional view. So the monthly view must be then added on all the required time entry time entry templates if you want to see this on all workers, of course, but that could be that there are limited groups that you want to enable it for. Okay, let's get a quick demo. There's also the screenshot to show what I mean. So the monthly view is here, and then for example, the enter time by type is now appearing here. Before it was not possible to select it from the well, currently it's not possible to select it from the monthly view. So we have here the time entry template, and in the calendar tab we have the view options. So now the default calendar view is weekly, and here I added the monthly one as an additional view. And so these are the entry methods that, of course, if they are not available here, then it's not possible to select them either from the monthly view. But so as we can see here, for this person is now having the enter time by type on the weekly view, and then also from the monthly view. So they can now select this. Now, of course, these are weekly methods still, but they can be selected. So the Workday has actually added this selection box. So then we're able to select the week of today and do the entry from this view. So there is already project selected here, and then you could add something else. So now it's the project, but you could add, for example, administration work might have performed. So that it appears on that Tuesday. So the configuration is quite simple. Yeah, so these are the actual tasks that can be made available. It's autofill from prior week, autofill from schedule, enter time by type. This is what we saw. We were using this one, and also the quick add. So different methods for quickly, depending on the worker type, how to add the necessary hours. Yeah, so we saw the weekly prompt there, and it is also checking. Workday will be also checking if some of those weeks would be actually logged, so it would not show them as options. So when we summarize, it is making the experience this way more consistent with the weekly one. So necessarily need to go back and forth just to access one of the tasks. And like we saw, what is there to do? You need to edit the time entry templates and then pick monthly in either one of the view options. And well, of course, if you don't do it well, then then there is I mean, this will be there automatically, but unless you're using the you're not using the monthly view, then it is of course not changing anything. So now going to the assign work schedule calendar sub-process. So there is a community note about this, like a what's new post. Can also check. So the feature overview is that can now run autocomplete for work schedule, calendar, assignments, and based on patterns, which is the most common type to describe the calendars. So previously, the assign work schedule step was only available on hire and change job, but now it's supported on 16 other business processes. So it improves the efficiency and makes life a bit more easier when there's a need to move workers to the calendar assignment. So my personal view, and that is, I think, not really coming forward from the Workday presentation as such, and their information is that the essence is that when you're running business processes such as this, it might mean that there is something changing in the workers' background data, and this might affect what is then based on the new data, what would be or what should be the new work schedule calendar for this particular employee. So I think this is the essence. So you can you don't have to separately manage the work schedule, but you can put the steps inside other processes. So then you can automatically, as much as possible, to put people to the correct calendars when something happens in the system. They can already get some different hours, and they can immediately those will be reflected in the system, and everybody can continue working as they should going forward. But it doesn't necessarily come that easy, as it also demands from the client that your work schedule calendar setup is actually then very good. That the rules are there and configured so that different situations are being taken into account, and certain background data is being used to create the new assignments. So in configuration, there's there's a couple of things to do. Would enable the autocomplete on the business process definition, and now also there can be several business process definitions, and then also place assign work schedule step after the completion step of the other main process. So this could also mean that depending how you want things to work, you would create more than just the default definition for the assigned work schedule business process definition. For some workers, maybe it's not something you like that will happen, and in those cases, then you need to use some rules to only launch the business process in correct situations. So I think there's a lot of background work in this one. The change itself is fairly simple, but to make best use of the framework, then there is a significant amount of things to do. So yeah, there's an example of the condition rule that then is giving this to all the UK employees if they happen to go through this to go through the assigned work schedule process in some situations. So there's a few possible scenarios and outcomes, and the essence of this does that need to check it quite closely what happens in different cases, and if there's a service step or action step, it's different, and so that the whole design works as intended. So when the autocomplete is based on the definition that this is being used, that is one thing, and then so depending what you want to do, there can be different definitions. And you could have across organization or rule-based definitions, and this kind of now starts. You might start to understand that this could be quite a complicated framework in at least some companies. So, and in the end, there will be the eligible rules that will assign the calendars, and there might not be needed any approval steps. So that's the good thing. So here's the summary. I think we've covered it quite well already. So then the manage work schedule calendar assignments. So the essence of this is the scenario could be that you've done an EIB load for a lot of people, but it did not go fully correct. So you would like to do some kind of change. So we have the screenshots here to describe. Well, you can first of all select the people you want to process. with this task, then you can use some filters and in the end and correct the assignments. With, for example, you can use a different start date or the end date. Could be, for example, you forgot to populate the end date for a lot of people. So this way you can just do it. Or if you would then like to actually change also the work schedule calendar. A comment will be required for this, but yeah, I can imagine playing a lot with work schedule, especially through the loads. This is significant. Also, I need to note that there are two types of assigned work schedule. One is actually just taking a copy of the work schedule calendar and make an individual one. So if you've done any of those, so this would not be available, or the employees would not be available. The processes would not be there visible if that is what you had done. But if they're actually tied to the work schedule calendars, then yeah, they will be found even if you've done them manually. So there's a couple of security steps to be done, both on domain and business process side. So it means that work schedules can be mass edited, and there is the security steps, and then you're allowed to run the report managed work schedule assignments. Okay, so speeding on to the other features. We have 5, so let's just start going through one by one. So we have generate period schedules for time tracking. So these used to be quite tedious ERB load task, and which is in a way quite simple for the computer to do, I would say, but then building it in Excel could be not the most wanted job. So in this enhancement, there is a box available when for time tracking, and of course the period schedule needs to be enabled for time tracking for this to appear. So you are able to control all the time entry specific dates and times. So there's some offsets for the dates and also the actual clock times when this should happen, like opening, closing, then again for adjustments later after the first payroll run, and then when really closing the books. So a calculation change regarding eligibility. So it's specific to when shifts are crossing weeks, and there would be a change in the eligibility. So now it is taken into account when still the shift date is in the earlier week, and then it is different the next week, but some hours go over the midnight. So then those will be calculated based on the next weeks rules. So there's daily totals, and now these are added to the submit time entry approval, inbox task, and time worklet. So it's not, so you see here that daily amounts I configured. Then when you go to the review time, it is also displayed here. So it is taken into account, and there was a couple of screens also. So it's just improving the consistency between the showing the report and calculate hours. And it's automatically available when it's configured. Minimum time anomaly confidence level. So this is kind of a machine learning, artificial intelligence based feature when the time tracking module checks that if some entry seems a bit off based on what the employee has usually done, then it can flag this. And now you have available 3 different confidence levels. So if depending on how much maybe like wrong results you would want to see, or how sure would you like to be to check more things manually. So a bit of flexibility now in this setting. So it is configured in the time approval template. Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to mention to you we're sort of running out of time, so maybe you can consider wrapping up for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah. There's a couple things. So then we can safely continue. So for the eligibility rule errors, there was some fields that could be selected, but they didn't work. So Workday has now some errors introduced for those. And then we can have a quick look at the roadmap. I've indicated with a green tick where actually this was part of the current release. So there's still coming edit and approve time and shift-based check-in this year. So kind of this edit and approve, it more or less happens in the same window. So that looks quite cool. Then also having project as a work tag and not strictly as a project time entry. So I see this as a very good idea. It has been a bit inflexible now, I would say, with using projects. Then time entry experience will be revisited, and calendar view should be enabled for also period. So if you would be, let's say, like doing bi-weekly, then you could be able to view that in one screen. So can be very nice one for that reason. And also on mobile, there should be review time possible. So for managers typically. The efficiency part. So for the future, they are thinking of, hey, what if we have multiple positions? How can we do the time calculations separately between those? Maybe it should be coming easier to perform. Then tighter time entry controls if possible, and probably easier also to configure those. So not that technical way. That's my expectation. And for the compliance part, think this for this year sound very interesting, and at least for the Nordic population. So flex time, very popular here, and now it has been possible, but it takes a lot of calculations to be able to take some controls on the flex time bands and also time accumulators. So for tracking some, like, or how many hours some has worked in during a year, and in the future you might expect predictive scheduling and probably better shift-based calculations. So thanks for joining, and I don't know if there were any questions that were popping up, but over to you, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this